I can't believe we've come so far. That sweet little kid who just wanted a cookie cat is now an angry young man. We've reached a boiling point with the latest episodes of Steven Universe. In addition to Steven's emotions once again taking control, we learn more about the origins of Greg Universe. Steven glows up, and he does something that's so his mom, I actually screamed at my TV. I'm Chris Carr. Let's talk about Mr. Universe and Fragments. Before we dive in, I want to give a shout out to all of our amazing donors on Patreon. Thanks to these gems, we're still rocking and rolling online. If you want to help out, head on over to our Patreon page and see if a donation tier works for you. We'll thank you with shout-outs, patches, and more. If you're itching to do some online browsing, click that link to TeePublic in the description. They have awesome t-shirts for any and all fandoms. On to Steven. After becoming a lumpy pink emotional mess last week, Steven finally uses his words and explains the core of his problem. He spent so long trying to figure out whether or not he was his mom, and now that he knows he's him, it's like he has no idea who that is. Well, you want it to be normal, Steven. Welcome to existential dread. We all have it. The episode Mr. Universe kicks it all the way back to dear old dad from season 1, and the DeMeo boys take a road trip. While traveling through Greg's hometown, Steven asks his father about how he figured out who he was and what he wanted from life. This prompts Greg to do a little father-son breaking and entering. I love how Steven was trying to reason with his dad here. Dad, you're rich. You don't need to do this. So don't steal if you're rich, just do it if you're poor. Whew, I'm very excited for my new career as a looter. Greg breaks into this house like a pro, climbing up a tree, going for an unlocked window. He knows what he's doing. Turns out, this is his childhood home. Greg apparently grew up in a very strict household where he felt stifled by the monotony of the rigorous structure his parents put in place for him. So, he left home and never looked back. No meatloaf every Thursday for this guy. This sense of normalcy, though, is apparently what Steven wishes he had. He loves his dad's stuff. He loves his yearbook. He loves his father's braces. He loves how much they look alike. But heartbreakingly adds that his father looks more human. Steven craves structure. He wishes he went to school, had a schedule, had been to a doctor before 2 days ago. Greg finds what he was looking for. A box hidden in a vent that most certainly has weed in it, and a CD. That's an old-timey music playing doodad, kids. While Steven is processing his dad's family living so close by and how different his upbringing could have been, Greg pops that compact disc in to show his son what made him become Mr. Universe. Greg plays a Bowie-esque tune and explains how this song, Mr. Universe, made him want to explore the world and, well, the universe. Fun fact, that's Jermaine Clement singing. Rebecca Sugar really wanted him to do the part and was going to try and be cool about talking to him about it at the Emmys, but ended up just blurting out how much she wanted him to do this role. Steven had his feelings under control, but the song seems to really push him over the edge. Their name came from a song? Don't know why you find this so incredulous, kid. Your dad is a musician. I want to be clear about how I feel about Greg here, because I think a lot of people are going to find his parenting tactics to be awful. And he wouldn't be completely wrong. But I get it. Greg truly is trying his best here. It's natural to not want to make the mistakes, or at least what you perceived as mistakes, as your parents. Structure was torture for Greg, so raising his kid all free range in a van without curfews makes sense to him. He thinks what works for him will work for his son, hence him thinking this life-changing tune is all Steven needs. But just like how Greg was different from his folks, Steven is different from Greg. Not as much, but still. To Steven, what Greg went through is nothing compared to his trials and tribulations. He just learned about trauma, and he knows trauma. Let's be clear though, y'all. While it's understandable to not understand how someone else's baggage can be such a big deal to them, you still have to respect that it's something that affected them. But Steven's new to trauma and doesn't understand how Greg's life was so horrible. Thus, a song from the Spaceman in the Sky isn't what Steven needs, and he loses it. His grandparents lived close enough to drive to, and Greg didn't think that that was something worth noting to his kid who travels across the galaxy to see Mom's side? This song that was so profound and instrumental in shaping Greg makes his son feel nothing aside from resentful of the life his father gave up and the life his father gave him. He goes pink, he unleashes all that resentment, he compares Greg to Mom. Oof, that one has got to sting. I know Steven didn't handle himself with much grace here, and yelling isn't the answer. But anger is a very valid feeling, and him pushing down all that anger and plopping on a happy face has been incredibly problematic. At least this blow-up aired some of his grievances. He said some things that are wrong out loud. He's actualized them. They're out there. He just needs to talk in a healthy way so he doesn't go full Hulk. As Steven's pinking out, he rips the steering wheel and crashes the van. Even this doesn't seem to faze the ever-chill Greg. He's proud of his son for being able to tell him off and talks about how Steven's just figuring things out. He'll be okay. Steven simply tunes him out, deleting that oh-so-human photo of his father he took. Steven didn't get to do all those human things. He's always going to be different. He'll never be the guy in that photo. Steven has just recently realized just how alien he is compared to other kids. And not just because he's a gem. He had his childhood hijacked by galactic politics, sure, but he also had a dad who took away the boundaries that he longed to have. He can't connect to other kids about the most basic things: school, career aspirations, roller skating. The crash launches us directly into our next episode, Fragments. Bird Mom is not thrilled with the van crash and chastises Steven for putting Greg in harm's way, noting how fragile he is. And can I just say, I am so in love with this line. Greg and Pearl have come so far. Oh, it makes me so happy. Anyway, the gems try to get Steven to open up to them, noting how his powers are getting more and more out of control. Steven, as has become his go-to move these days, doesn't want to talk about it. The gems continue to push, and Steven gets more and more frustrated. He literally puts up walls. He cracks windows and vases. He goes super speedy. Steven takes advantage of the power and flees his home and gets some space. He seeks out Jasper to be alone with and explains the situation to her. He's terrified of his powers. His friends are terrified of them too. And Jasper thinks that's just stupid. Ah, Jasper. Sure, Steven. Go to the unhinged gem who lives like Alan Moore, all isolated up in the woods and makes trees explode with her fists to let off steam. Yeah, ask her for advice. That's a solid move, bud. Well, honestly, though, if you're having a hard time managing your anger, then I guess the angriest gem is who you'd naturally turn to. Jasper has always struggled with self-destructive tendencies, though, so having her as Steven's mentor while he's in this incredibly vulnerable state is a lethal combination. Jasper tells Steven to embrace his power, implementing the old "if you don't use it, you'll lose it" rule. Only in this case, losing it would be literally like, "Rah, losing it!" Jasper agrees to teach Steven, but only if they can have a rematch fight. Steven begins an intense training regimen that has him using his defensive powers offensively. And he takes a moment to fish and cosplay as Old Man Skywalker. He spends a mere 3 days training, building his strength, and gets into the best shape of his life. Geez, guys, I've been social distancing for a week, and I look like a troll doll. Whew, I need to get my ish together. Truly, though, Steven has a major glow-up. What a babe. The hair, the arms. Is he taller? Connie's gonna be like, yeah, I know I said not now, but you want to fuse? Steven is finally ready to duke it out with Jasper. He's done holding back, embracing his power. This fight is epic. We're getting some DBZ vibes. His power is over 9,000. But he's out of control. I mean, look at his eyes. His pupils are diamonds. And with that, he whips out a gnarly move that shatters Jasper. Now, thankfully, Steven's able to restore Jasper. Steven profusely apologizes, tears streaming down his face. I mean, what he just did is basically murder. And how does Jasper react? She finally respects him. She calls him her diamond. Oh, it's happening! He's his mom! No! Guys, I can't emphasize enough how big a deal this My Diamond line is. Look back at how Jasper treated Steven in Little Homeschool, saying that he was not her diamond, demanding he fight her to prove he had leadership potential. Jasper sort of inadvertently ignited Steven's pink powers and triggered his trauma by belittling him and his reliance on his friends, claiming he couldn't fend for himself. So what has he done since? He's tried to go it alone. And now, to have Jasper respect him for his violent outbursts, his savagery, his isolation, and to liken him to his mother, the person he's so sure he isn't, oh, whoa dang. Now, let's do some speculating. Now, did anyone else notice that Loki helmet Jasper sporting looks a lot like the horns on that worm creature at the beginning of the show? I am more confident than ever that it's not Steven that's the worm. And it's not just the helmet that made me think that. It's the way Steven revived Jasper with the diamond auras. A quick refresher, Steven heals Jasper using the diamond aura bottles as well as his own healing powers. These bottles contain the auras of the other 3 diamonds, and were first seen being used to heal cherry quartz in Little Homeschool. Now, Steven used a little dab from each bottle and a teensy bit of spit to heal cherry quartz's corruption. Fixing a shattering would definitely take a lot more juice, but Homeboy throws in every last drop from these bottles. It does the trick. But is this an oversaturation? Will we see a power surge in Jasper? Perhaps mutation? Furthermore, the bottles are now empty. If anyone gets corrupted, how are the crystal gems going to heal them? Will white, blue, and yellow come to help their little sister-nephew? This is all to say that I'm now really hedging my bets on Jasper being that worm. Now, you might be saying, "But Chris, there's an episode called I Am My Monster. How do you explain that away?" Well, I stand by the ominous diamond-looking figure we see in the opening number is who Steven becomes. We've built and built and built to Steven becoming his mother. What if he physically takes on her appearance as he goes further and further down this path, looking more and more like a diamond? These latest 2 episodes definitely needed each other. They don't feel like standalones. They feel like one cohesive 22-minute piece that's setting us up for our big 4-part finale. And next week cannot come soon enough. I'm scared for Steven, you guys. From the looks of the finale promo, Steven is going to continue trying to go it alone, leaving the gems behind. Garnet assures him they'll always be family, and after that we're shown a few key flashbacks that I think are going to be moments that are instrumental to the finale. I assume he'll go back to Rose's armory, which makes sense. This is all about Rose, Mom, Pink Diamond. Maybe we'll finally see what's in that treasure chest. The flashbacks to Blue and Yellow definitely make me believe Steven's going to go full Pink Diamond as he continues to struggle with his identity. All in all, it looks like things are going to get intense, and I am hyped. Everything Steven's been feeling and burying is now boiling and bubbling up to the surface, and it feels like a lot more people are going to get hurt along the way. Rebecca Sugar said in a recent interview that a lot of Steven Universe future draws from her own personal trauma and experience with PTSD. So I'm confident our guy will overcome this and that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I'm just really scared about going into the tunnel in the first place. Steven Universe Future is set to air its 4-part series finale, Homeward Bound, Everything's Fine, I Am My Monster, and The Future on March 27th. Now, what did you guys think about these latest episodes? What are your predictions for the final ones? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure you subscribed and punch that bell so you can yell first when we gather next week to talk about this show's epic conclusion. Thanks again to everyone on Patreon, to TeePublic, and all of you awesome fans from the Crooniverse. Thanks for watching. See you, Space Cowboy!